Hello there, this is 7Edition and I'm Otto Othman. The top stories. Government meets opposition pact for 2021 budget meeting. And new COVID-19 cases rise to 957 with 2 new clusters reported. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin today held a meeting with leaders of Perikatan Nasional (PN) at a hotel in Kuala Lumpur. It is understood that the meeting was in relation to the Dewan Rakyat sitting, which will take place tomorrow, besides focusing on the 2021 budget. Tan Sri Muhyiddin arrived at about 12 noon before followed by other leaders. Among the leaders seen attending the meeting were UMNO President Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and past President Datuk Sri Abdul Hadi Awang. Also present were Parti Bersatu Sabah President Datuk Sri Maximus Ongkili, MCA President Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong, and MIC President Tan Sri S.A. Vigneswaran. However, most of the coalition leaders present were silent when asked about the agenda of the meeting. When the meeting was over, Senior Minister for Economy Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali described the session as a preparatory meeting before the Dewan Rakyat session.
Do you think the budget will be passed?
It's a normal pre-council among the Ketua Whip.
Okay.
So as a Ketua of Kerajaan, then Prime Minister inform us what is the latest development, and we need to prepare for this coming session.
So it's just an update?
Yeah.
Just
okay.
Following the King's decree to all MPs to cease their political disputes in the face of the pandemic crisis and to ensure the 2021 budget is passed without disruptions, the Finance Minister today met with representatives from the opposition political parties to discuss the national blueprint. Their meeting with Datuk Sri Tunku Zafrul Abdul Aziz was present their respective parties' views on budget, which will be tabled on November 6 in the Dewan Rakyat. The 2-hour meeting, which began at 3 p.m., was held at the Finance Ministry in Putrajaya. The Pakatan Harapan representatives include DAP Secretary General Lim Guan Eng, PKR Secretary General Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail, and Parti Amanah Negara President Muhammad Sabu. The Finance Minister had previously expressed his confidence that budget will not be politicized and will have the full support of the MPs for the common good. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah had also stressed that 2021 budget is very important for the people in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic and reviving the country's economy. Early withdrawal from the Contributors Employee Provident Fund EPF Account 1 is among the 4 main points in an UMNO memorandum handed over to Finance Minister Datuk Sri Tunku Zafrul Abdul Aziz for consideration in the 2021 budget. Also proposed a targeted loan moratorium, people-friendly development programs, and reducing the unemployment rate by creating new jobs. 4 UMNO representatives, namely Supreme Council Member Tan Sri Noh Omar, Secretary General Datuk Sri Ahmad Maslan, Datuk Sri Zamri Abdul Kadir, and Youth Chief Datuk Ashraf Wajdi Dusuki today met with the Finance Minister at the latter's office in Putrajaya. The meeting took almost half an hour.
Kami membawa perkara, contohnya 2 perkara utama yang diminta oleh rakyat. Yang pertama pengeluaran akaun 1 kategori SP, tetapi jumlahnya mungkin boleh dipikirkan oleh pihak kementerian dan kategori SP tidak semesti setinggi 10,000, mungkin kurang daripada itu. Walau bagaimanapun ia adalah satu cadangan yang bernas kepada rakyat atas sokongan rakyat yang begitu popular tentang cadangan itu. Satu lagi ialah moratorium, sama ada secara automatik ataupun bersasar. Tapi saya kira kalau bersasar itu lebih sesuai sebab dalam negara kita ni ada P20, ada M40, ada P40.
He said the consultation session was meaningful and went well. However, Datuk Seri Ahmad expressed his hope that the discussion on the budget to be held 1 month earlier before it is tabled to give all relevant parties more time to study it. Besides UMNO, discussions on the budget was also held with Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS, PAS and Pakatan Harapan PH. The 2021 budget is scheduled to be tabled this Friday at 4 p.m.
Budget 2021, a budget like no other. How will it bring Malaysia out of the COVID-19 slump? Will it pave the road to recovery? From 3:30 p.m, the Finance Minister's speech, then expert analysis to break down what it will mean for you. Friday, November 6th, the budget on NTV 7.
The total number of new COVID-19 cases in the country rose to 957 today, with Sabah and the Klang Valley reporting the bulk of the cases. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said 2 new clusters were also reported in Selangor and Pulau Pinang, namely the Usaha and Tembaga clusters. He explained that the number of cases rose because of increased steps taken to trace close contacts and screening processes carried out at the Plaza Hentian Kajang, which reported 91 new cases. 80 of the new cases were also related to temporary detention centers and prison clusters. The first new cluster reported is the Usaha cluster in the district of Klang and the Petaling in Selangor. The second new cluster reported is the Tembaga cluster in the district of Timor Laut and Barat Daya in Pulau Pinang, with 7 confirmed cases so far. No new deaths related to the virus was reported today. Meanwhile, the COVID-19 team at Sungai Buloh Hospital Selangor has been recognized at the Global Health Awards 2020 recently for its unwavering efforts to fight the pandemic. Now, in a Facebook posting, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham congratulated its head of Sungai Buloh Hospital Infectious Disease Department, Dr. Suresh Kumar, and Anesthesia and Intensive Care Department head, Dr. Syaiful Azman Zakaria, as well as the whole of COVID-19 team at the hospital for the recognition. According to the Global Health Awards website, the Regional Asia Pacific Awards aim to recognize companies in a variety of regional and global markets that have maintained consistently high standards in delivering quality care and push the boundaries of delighting their customers at every stage and in every interaction. The Sungai Buloh Hospital has designated as Malaysia's main COVID-19 hospital in March. The Enhanced Movement Control Order, EMCO, will be implemented on the Kota Kinabalu Temporary Detention Center for 14 days, starting November 3rd to November 16th. Senior Minister for Security, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said the move was to curb the spread of COVID-19 after 56 detainees there tested positive for the virus so far. According to the Senior Minister, the NSC special meeting has received an application from the Sabah NSC on the need to impose EMCO on Kota Kinabalu Temporary Detention Center. As of October 30th, 261 detainees and staff have been screened for COVID-19.
PKPD ini akan melibatkan seramai 1,820 orang tahanan dan 114 orang kaki tangan pusat tahanan tersebut. Seperti biasa, PKPD SOP-nya samalah dengan setiap PKPD yang melibatkan penjara ni. Kita dah banyaklah penjara yang telah pun kita perkenalkan PKPD.
All movements in and out of the center are prohibited and visitations are not allowed throughout the EMCO period. Datuk Sri Ismail also said the EMCO on Alostar Prison, which started on October 5th, would end tomorrow, as there were no new COVID-19 cases recorded in the last 7 days. Malaysia's standing as an important trading partner with the United States has grown despite the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic and political uncertainties. In an exclusive interview, the U.S. ambassador to Malaysia, Kamala Shirin Laktir, said Washington and Putrajaya remain committed in maintaining close relations between the two countries, especially in the trade and investments. In the first half of this year, trade between the two countries rose by 6.9% to 129.25 billion ringgit compared to the same period last year. Exports to the U.S. rose by 9.1% to 77.09 billion ringgit, and imports from the United States also grew by 3.7% at 52.16 billion ringgit. Kamala said Malaysia continues to remain an attractive foreign investment country, even during the COVID-19 pandemic. The sectors attracting investments are electrical and electronics, digital technology, oil and gas, as well as medical equipment.
Their focus is on stability, regulatory certainty. So these are things that I think a lot of the ministers in the government understand, and that these are things that everyone is working on. So good governance, reliability in terms of decision making. It helps the companies know what the future will be.
Commenting further, she said despite the COVID-19 pandemic, Malaysia has continued to promote itself as a global supply hub in Asia to American companies that want to explore new opportunities in their supply chain.
U.S. companies are looking to diversify their supply chain. Because of COVID-19, a lot of companies are reconsidering where they have operations. And so I think there are opportunities that Malaysia could seize on. There are many companies that already are in Penang and in Kedah, in Kulim, and throughout the peninsula. And they are good presentations of what is possible in Malaysia.
In Johor, a policeman died while another sustained injuries when their patrol car collided with another vehicle while chasing two suspects along Jalan Kangka Tebrau near Kampung Kangka Tebrau. District Fire and Rescue Department Operation Commander Kamsani Aswan said that the MPV collided with a Pro 2 Arus, causing the police car to overturn in the 6:24 a.m. incident. The two men inside the SUV, which is the driver and the front passenger, also suffered injuries. The body of the policeman, identified as Constable Nicolester Dadup Ungat, has been taken to the Bandar Dato' Ons police station for final respect. His remains were scheduled to be flown to Cebu, Sarawak tomorrow. Nicolester's partner, Lance Corporal Muhammad Fadhirul Musa, who sustained serious head injuries, was being treated at the Sultan Ismail Hospital. Johor Police Chief Dato' Ayub Khan Maiden Pichai confirmed the incident. He said the police have identified the suspects and confident that the suspects will be arrested soon. He also expressed his condolences to the victim's family. Bukit Aman Police has crippled a major drug trafficking syndicate with the arrest of 12 suspects. More than 300 kilograms of drugs worth 822,000 ringgit were also seized in 9 raids conducted in Pulau Pinang, Kedah and Perak. According to Bukit Aman Narcotics Criminal Investigation Department Deputy Director, Deputy Commissioner Zainuddin Ahmad, the suspects, aged between 22 and 46, were arrested in the raids conducted from October 27th to October 28th. Police seized 309 kilograms of ganja and 495 grams of methamphetamine during the raids conducted at Taiping Perak, Kupang Kedah, and at various locations within Pulau Pinang's central Seberang Perai district.
Seorang lelaki negara Thailand yang merupakan pemandu motorkar telah ditangkap dan telah merampas 15 bungkusan plastik hitam yang berisi 313 ketolan mampat dadah ganja yang dianggarkan beratnya lebih kurang 309 kg.
He also said that apart from the drugs and cash amounting to 65,090 ringgit, police also seized 15 vehicles worth about 1.5 million ringgit. The drugs were supplied from the neighboring countries by sea. They are believed to be for distribution in Pulau Pinang, Perak and Klang Valley. The case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, which carries the death penalty upon conviction. After this breather, Super Typhoon Goni slams Philippines. Don't go away. Thank you for staying with us. Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen apologized to the family of a Malaysian student murdered in southern Taiwan, as well as to the Malaysian people over the incident that took place this week. Now, according to Taiwan's central news agency, CNA, the president has described the incident as humiliating. Presidential Office spokesman Xavier Chang said that the incident seriously tarnished Taiwan's image as a safe and friendly nation and exposed problems in Taiwan's society that must be thoroughly reviewed so as to ensure that such a tragedy does not occur again. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Su Tseng-chang also extended his apologies on behalf of the government, pointing out that he has instructed the relevant agencies to assist the victim's family in dealing with the aftermath of the tragedy. The 24-year-old victim, who studied at a university in Tainan, was reported missing by the school on Thursday morning. Footage captured on CCTV cameras showed her walking by herself along a railway overpass near the university at around 8 p.m. Wednesday before she was reported missing. Through the CCTV footage, police found and arrested a suspect on Thursday on suspicion that he had abducted the victim near the university. The suspect later confessed that he had strangled the victim with a length of rope and dumped her body in the mountainous Alian district in neighboring Kaohsiung. Based on his confession, police were able to discover the victim's body. The suspect was detained for voluntarily manslaughter and sexual assault, and the case is now in the hands of the Chiao Tsao District Prosecutor's Office in Kaohsiung. A super typhoon barreled through the southern part of the Philippines' main island of Luzon on Sunday, killing at least 4 people. About 1 million people were evacuated in its projected path, including the capital, Manila, where the main international airport was ordered to close. Now, the Weather Bureau downgraded Goni, the world's strongest storm so far this year, to typhoon category, with 215 km/h sustained winds and gusts of up to 290 km/h after it made landfall in the Bicol region. Tropical storm wind alerts were lowered, but the weather agency warned that Goni still posed a threat while traversing Manila. Local officials received reports of volcanic mud flows as well as electricity supply and communication service outages. The country's disaster management agency said between 19 million and 31 million people could be affected by the typhoon, including those in danger zones and in metropolitan Manila. England will begin a month-long lockdown on Thursday after being warned tough action was needed to stop a resurgent coronavirus outbreak. Now, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Saturday confirmed the stringent restrictions on business and daily life would last until December 2nd, saying acting now could allow families to spend Christmas together. Under the new restrictions, people have been told to stay at home where possible, but will be allowed to leave their homes for education, medical appointments, to shop for essential goods, and to work if they cannot work from home. People will be allowed to leave home to care for vulnerable people. Outdoor exercise will also be permitted with members of the same household or one person from another household. Pubs, bars, and restaurants will be closed for all business except takeaway service. Retail shops will have to close, except for essential shops such as food and medicine. Unlike during the UK's first 3-month lockdown earlier this year, schools, universities, construction sites and manufacturing businesses will stay open.
Going back to the full-scale lockdown of March and April, the measures that I've outlined are less prohibitive and less restrictive, but I'm afraid from Thursday the basic message is the same. Stay at home, protect the NHS and save lives.
Johnson also confirmed in the announcement that the furlough scheme, which supplements income for those who have been unable to work due to lockdown, would continue until the restrictions end in December. The announcement has sparked anger from some Tory MPs, and business leaders have warned of a bleak midwinter. The UK reported more than 21,900 new coronavirus cases on Saturday, bringing the country's total to more than 1 million. Australia has recorded no new locally transmitted coronavirus infection on Sunday for the first time in 5 months, paving the way for further easing of social distancing restrictions. The state of Victoria, a coronavirus hotspot which accounts for more than 90% of the country's 907 coronavirus-related deaths, saw 0 new daily infections and no deaths for the second consecutive day. There are 61 active cases left across the state, down from 70 on Saturday. State Deputy Premier James Merlino hailed Sunday's zero figures as another great day for Victoria, but urged caution ahead of Australia's most prestigious horse race on Tuesday, the Melbourne Cup, known as the race that stops a nation. Victoria on Wednesday ended most of its 111-day lockdown restrictions, some of the world's toughest and longest. Its Chief Health Officer, Brett Sutton, hinted that the state may see more of its public movement restrictions eased in the coming days, but urged further compliance. Australia has reported just over 27,500 cases since the pandemic started, due to it quickly closing its international borders and imposing social distancing restrictions and widespread testing and tracing. In the United States, a record 90 million Americans have voted early in the presidential election, as President Donald Trump and his Democratic rival Joe Biden campaigned across the country to try to sway the few remaining undecided voters. The high number of early voters, about 65% of the total amount in 2016, reflects intense interest in the contest, with 3 days of campaigning left. Concerns about exposure to the coronavirus at busy election day voting places on Tuesday have also pushed up the numbers of people voting by mail or at early in-person polling sites. Opinion polls show Trump trailing former Vice President Biden nationally, but with a closer contest in the most competitive states that will decide the election. Trump has repeatedly claimed without evidence that mail-in ballots are susceptible to fraud, and has more recently argued that only the results available on election night should count. Biden invoked Trump's baseless statement at a rally in Flint, Michigan, which former President Barack Obama also attended.
There's nothing that he can do to stop the people of this nation from voting in overwhelming numbers and taking back this democracy.
Trump, meanwhile, held 4 rallies on Saturday in the battleground state of Pennsylvania, where the campaigns are seeking to win over undecided voters, focusing largely on his white working-class base.
3 days from now, this is the state that will save the American dream. On November 3rd, we're going to win Pennsylvania, and we are going to win 4 more years in that very beautiful White House.
Trump is expected to rally voters Sunday with an exhausting schedule in toss-up states Michigan, Iowa, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, while Biden focuses on Pennsylvania. Local officials in several states, including Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, said it could take several days to count all of the mail ballots, possibly leading to days of uncertainty if the outcome hinges on those states. Now, before we go, we just want to remind you to please ensure you and your family are counted in the Malaysia Population and Housing Census 2020 Phase 1. The e-census is conducted online until December 21st, so we hope you fulfill your responsibility to the nation. Your data is our future. Now, please visit www.mycensus.gov.my for further information. Petrol heads from across Asia flocked to a motor show in Bangkok, Thailand, where the latest automobile models were displayed from manufacturers including Toyota, Mazda, Nissan, Suzuki, Mitsubishi, Subaru, and Isuzu. As we wrap up 7Edition, we leave you visuals of the stunning collection of new cars shown off at the event. With that, I'm Otto Othman. Thanks for watching and stay safe, Malaysia.